Hey guys, just math, y'all. We are looking at Cal 1 today. This is the second video in the 3-3 and 3-4, the product rule. So I'm going to do a problem using the product rule. And this one's got a radical in it. A couple of questions came about problems in the radicals. And so I've already done one of the radical problems, and we had to use the fractional exponents on it. We had to take the radical and turn it into fractional exponents, and that helped us get through that problem. This one, we are going to have a better luck of leaving it as a radical, but when we get the opportunity, we're going to use a common denominator on this one. So that's what's going to work best for this one. Now, the first thing we're going to do is just remember the product rule is, derivative of the first or times the second plus the second derivative of the second times the first or something like that. It's, I always say first times the derivative of the second plus second times the derivative of the first. To me, that flows easier out of my mouth. Maybe I've just said it a billion times. But anyway, first times the derivative of the second plus the second times the derivative of the first. So that's the way I do things. Now this one, we've got this constant 4 out there. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take that 4 and we're going to put it with the radical. And so that we're going to rewrite this problem. Since it is multiplication, it really doesn't matter that much. And this is going to be my first. And this is going to be my second. Okay? And so when I find the derivative using the product rule, I'm going to do the first times the derivative of the second plus the second times the derivative of the first. Okay, that's just the way I remember it. That's not formal notation, but that's what works for me. So if I try to change myself, I might get over confused. So anyway, so here's where we're going to go. So the first, to find f prime, we're going to take the first, which is this polynomial, and then we're going to do the derivative of the second. Okay, so now we're going to use a little scratch paper over here. I hope this is enough scratch paper. And to do the derivative of this, we are going to change it to x to the 1/2, but then we're going to change it back. So if I do the derivative of this, I'm going to do 1/2 times 4, which will be 2, and then x, and then I'm going to subtract 1 from the exponent. So that means I'm doing 1/2 minus 1, which is negative 1/2. Okay, and now I'm going to rewrite that. That's 2 over x to the 1/2. That's what a negative exponent means. And then a fractional exponent makes this 2 over the square root of x. So that's the derivative of 4 times the square root of x. It's times 2 over the square root of x. So that's the derivative of the second. All right, then we're going to do plus the second times the derivative of the first. Well, the derivative of the first is a polynomial. We just use our little power rule. So 14x plus 8. Okay, so now simplifying this is where it gets kind of tricky. Okay, and this is where most people get stuck. I have done it with the fractional exponents, kept it in its fractional exponent form, and I've done it this way using a common denominator. And I found that using the common denominator on this one is going to be the recommended way. So we're going to get a common denominator here because technically this is all one fraction because it's multiply. We're adding that to this one. Well, they don't have a common denominator. So we're going to use the common denominator method and add these two fractions together, or these two expressions together. So, right off the red. Okay, so now the common denominator would be, of course, the square root of x, which means I'm going to have to take that second fraction and multiply by the square root of x on bottom and the square root of x on top. So that's me getting a common denominator. Right? Now, so that's going to put the square root of x on the bottom, and my numerator is what's going to have to be simplified. All right? So over here to the right, I'm sorry, on the left, well, I just get 14. I just distribute, and I get 14x squared plus 16x plus 2. Now here's the deal. I've got 3 terms multiplied here, but what happens when I multiply those two? Well, when I multiply those two, I get 4x. So now I've just got to do 4x times 14x plus 8. Wow, really? That's it? That's it. So now when I do that, I'm going to get a plus 56x plus, x squared plus 32x. Let's make sure and check all this. Check my scratch work, make sure I did everything right. Combine my like terms, and I'm going to get 70x squared plus 48x plus 2, and this is all over the square root of x. You can factor out the 2 and put it in factored form in your numerator if you'd like. It won't make a difference. Either way is correct. So there it is. So this one we use the common denominator deal with. This one. Okay, hope that helps. I'll get this one posted, and then my next video is going to have more radicals, but we're going to be using the quotient